2, 3.
Thank you so very much for joining 𝘒𝙾𝙗, me with Colorado Real Estate Group, and Tiffany Huey, my marketing director, also with the Colorado Real Estate Group, for our session about kicking off 2025. And I totally realize we're way past like the very beginning of 2025. So we have a special planner that we wanted to introduce to you. You can have this planner totally free. I'm very passionate about, getting my life in order after 5 years of just being head down and just trying to kind of, figure out work and life. And now I'm finally starting with getting everything organized. And, and in order not to have, if I don't write it down, if I don't make a list, it's going to be a ball of yarn in my head and each string being one thought. So that's a pretty big ball of yarn. So I figure we'll put it down on paper to just get us started. And you don't need to have a new year to start a planner. Tiffany, how do you do this?
I think the new year is always very exciting because it kind of feels like a fresh slate. And yes, we are, 3 weeks into the new year, but that leaves us 11 months. I think like every day is a new start.
Oh,
and I love planners. I love lists. I love someone else taking the overwhelm out of all of this for me.
Yeah. And somebody could say, so what does this have to do with real estate?
It's a good question.
Right. I think that once you have everything in front of you, your intentions, where you are, situation analysis, where you are and where you want to go, I think you can set up your goals and your intentions, your focus much, much easier than if you, depend on your ball of yarn to slowly unroll. I just don't think that's a good idea. And, when it comes to real estate or just your financial well-being overall, I think having a guide on how to start, how to check things up, I think is important. And it will guide you eventually to really where you want to go. And I read a quote the other day that I really, really love. And it said, if you're waiting for the right time, you're living the wrong life. Is that deep?
Actually, I showed that to Nick the other day. I was like, Nick, look, it's for us. I have a question though, and this is something that came up from the people who downloaded the planner. A lot of them actually marked that they need to figure out what their real estate related goals are this year or over the next few years. How can going through this process help even figure out what that might look like?
Well, I think it makes room in your head. First of all, once you do the things that we have on the planner, it'll give you clarity on what your steps are after you have done this. So to me, this is not something that you're just, it's not like a workout plan. I mean, you can work on it every day, sure, do that. But, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? And so each of those check boxes is one bite. And once you've gone through things, I think what you need to do in order to, the detail steps to get you to real estate or to get you to your home sale or to a new job becomes so clear that it's much easier. If nothing else, that you might have to talk to someone, and in case of real estate, it would be us. But real estate and wealth creation are so tightly intertwined that, you kind of can't do one thing without the other. And creating that clarity, I think, is so important because that also provides certainty in the decisions that you make, that this is the right thing to do. And I mean, gosh, that wouldn't that let you sleep so much better at night?
I love all of that. Also, shameless plug, we've been having estate planning seminars. If you are not local to Colorado Springs, we have YouTube videos on all things estate planning. So
now you know why I love my marketing director. Awesome.
We have lots of good content on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Follow us.
Yep, exactly. And you know, it's something that we love. We're very passionate about educating, you know, people and just try to get them where they want to be. That's the goal. And it doesn't always have to involve selling or buying a house. I mean, that's our bread and butter. But if it's something else, you know, that would fit your life better and your financial plan better, then I mean, we'll tell you what we think. I love to tell people what I think. So yeah.
She does. Also, fun fact, Susanna was my realtor, and we bought a house sight unseen from out of state. So Susanna's great. Also, shameless plug.
Good with that. All right. You want to pull up the planner so we can get going?
Do you want me to share it on screen?
Yeah.
Okay, let me do that.
Perfect.
Can you see that? Okay.
Yeah. Very, very beautiful. All right. Okay, let's get going. So you can see we have touched on pretty much everything. So what you will see, so first of all, life goals. I mean, this is a big hand wave overall. You know, sometimes you might be aware of your life goals. Sometimes you just might have to sit on that a little bit more. So Tiffany, you told me about a class that you recently took to kind of establish intentions and how to get your mindset in the right place. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes. So I was in an intention setting webinar the other day. Sorry, I keep losing my voice. And if you are watching this video, feel free to pause it at any time. In this webinar, we did a lot of kind of reflection and journaling. So in this time with me and Susanna, we would love for, you to sit and think about 2024 or some other timeline of choice. Maybe it's the last month, maybe it's the last 6 months, maybe it's the last year. And think about all of the words that kind of signify or symbolize this past year. Maybe you started a family, maybe you moved cities, moved states, maybe you got no sleep. Good and bad, write it down. We'll leave some time for that.
Very cool. I also think, in order to, if you can't do it right here, right now, that is totally fine. I think having a certain kind of inner peace is super important. And there is actually scientific proof that if you go out in nature, specifically trees, into the forest, I mean, of course, I don't ask you to go hike somewhere, but if you can just sit under a tree with a pad of paper, that would be really helpful. It will calm your mind down and it'll help you focus. Now, if this is too artsy fartsy for you, so to speak, just do you, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but this is one of our suggestions. And when it comes to the words for last year, note them down and then think about what this year should look like. What are your 3 words? And if you scroll down to that first page, life goals, you see we have, oh, okay, we got the calendar.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's just what we have in there.
We'll just
No, it's past the it's past the holiday list. Probably should have had that at the bottom, but
it's okay. Keep talking about the life goals.
yes. So think about 3 words that 2025 should signify. And at the top of the life goals page, we left some room for you to write those down. So it could be connection. Maybe this year is your year of connection. Maybe this year is the year, well, of organization, getting your life figured out, whatever it might be. But there could be 3 words. It could be also happiness. You want to work on happiness, or, or actually focus, since we've mentioned that so many times. So
Yeah, I think if you've gone through and thought about, what describes the past year or so, uh, what worked for you and what didn't? What, like Susanna was saying, what do you want to bring into 2025? Susanna, do you have a word for this year?
this year was self-care.
Mm.
Self-care.
Mine has mine has been the same for the last few years, but mine is peace.
Ooh, kind of that kind of flows into this, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, self-care, peace is a big part of it. So,
Oh, totally.
all right. Can we scroll down to the life goals?
Yes. Sorry, everyone. You're just gonna have to
Yeah.
watch
All
the
right.
scrolling.
Yep. There you go. 2025 kickoff. We probably will change that at some point and just make it a kickoff. But here you have the 3 words that you can enter there. And you will see that, with the personal goals, we're not really giving you any specifics. Those are just suggestions for you to think about in areas of your life. If you're totally happy with your physical health, if you're perfectly happy with your mental or financial health, goals, by all means, you don't have to write anything down. But I think, I don't know, my opinion is there's always room for improvement. And if you feel that way, I mean, jot it down. And again, it doesn't have to be a specific goals. Maybe it's just a fairly general goal or a thought, or just an intention, something that helps you kind of remember what is important for you this coming year. And the same for the health goals underneath. So where all of a sudden now you're going a little deeper. If you have them, if you want to be healthy, if that was your goal, now you can, it's subdivided into, okay, so what is it I want to do? Where can I improve? I mean, depending on where you are in your life, maybe it would be just taking a walk with your dog, every morning or evening. It doesn't have to be, I want to be able to participate in a bodybuilding contest.
I want to run a marathon.
Oh, well, there you go. Nothing
Oh no,
nothing wrong with that.
I think a lot of these can also be maintenance. So when you thought about 2024, maybe you loved that you took your dog for a walk every day, and that's something you want to maintain and set as a goal for this year too.
Yeah. Yep. Good point. Good point. And on the next page, we do have a few more tips. And again, I mentioned at first you have the big picture goals and then you refine them. Personally, I believe in dreaming big because, I mean, you can always go smaller at some point, but I think
It's a good
dream
point.
big. Okay. If you could wave a wand, a magic wand, what would you do? Just think about that. It's actually kind of fun. It's a great way to kind of make you happy because it resets your brain. If you think about what makes you happy, you actually end up being happy at the end of those thoughts. So write those down, and and then here, number 3, systems, not just goals. So this is from James Clear, Atomic Habits, which I absolutely love. He's got a lot of good stuff in his book. If you haven't read it, I think it is an amazing guide to get you started into better habits. We often fall off. I certainly fall often off the wagon, and it's just a matter of, getting back on. And do I have a system in place? And one of them One of the systems that he suggests is what I wrote down here, make it obvious. So have a list visible. You have an overall list here, but you can take post-it notes and whatever your goal is for a certain time or a certain day, or so you just put that up there. Just get started. Get your head used to doing certain things, even if you start small. And that's also one of the things that he said, it's called habit stacking. So you start small, and basically if you improve 1% every time you do something, I mean, at the end of, you having done it 100 times, you've improved by 100%. But 1% really didn't take a whole lot. So that's his habit stacking theory, which I think is, it's been around for a while, but, somebody's got to say it.
Susanna, do you have an example of habit stacking?
Yes, I do. When it comes to working out, especially when it's late in the evening, I didn't get to work out all day. I would prefer to sit on the couch. I just, as long as I get downstairs, and we have a little workout room in the basement where I have my bike. And so just get me down into the room. So that's the goal for right now. Just get me into the room. Once I'm in the room, I'm good. And so I just want my brain to know we go every day. We go. All I have to do is just go. And then the next stack would be to increase the intensity, once I'm there. I mean, this sounds pretty lame, but it actually does work. And
It all
that
matters.
huh?
All of these things matter, like no
Yeah,
matter
I
how
mean,
small.
and everybody works differently. Everybody has, functions differently. So you do you, whatever works for you, but the habit stacking is really a good idea. James Clear had mentioned that, if you want to go to the gym, just get in the car and drive to the gym. Don't even have to go inside, which of course I'm thinking, yeah, the gym, you might as well go in, right? And that would be the second step for him. You get in the car and you go in, you can turn around right away and go home. Again, that wouldn't be for me, but then the next step would be, okay, you go in, you work out for 10 minutes and then move from there and just try to build that habit,
Mhm.
could be, I mean, anything else. There are tons of ways to just, improve. So,
One of the things I told myself I've been telling myself I would do for a long time, is spend more time meditating and doing breathing exercises as part of my like trying to achieve peace. And something I was doing on a daily basis was watering my vegetable plants. And
oh,
so I habit stack those two things. So every time I started watering my vegetable plants, I knew put my AirPods in, I'm going to start doing my breathing exercises.
there you go. Whatever. Well, first of all, I think I truly believe that you have to make it enjoyable, especially if it's something that
Mhm.
you don't enjoy. Okay, what does it take to actually make you like it a little bit better, right? I think that totally helps. And and that's actually number two, make it attractive. You plug it in your headphones and watering, that's what helps you, right? And then make it easy, have the watering can right there so you don't have to look for it, shoes are right next to it, and then reward yourself, just make sure you don't sabotage yourself. Like, oh, if I work out 10 days in a row, I'm not going to work out for another week. That's kind of defeating the purpose.
It's quite the reward.
Yeah, it is. It is. And by all means, when you fall off the wagon, just get back on. It's not a big deal. Just don't give up. I mean, um, I gave up last year with, eating healthy. Um, and so my determination is if I fall off the wagon, crack your shoulders and just move on, get back. Just how it is.
You
Nobody's judging you besides you.
I think also like all of these things are choices we make multiple times a day. So with I think eating healthy is a good example, um, because you're literally making a choice. I don't know, five
But
times a day.
yes, but I love cookies and I love bread. And so it's for me, it takes more than just,
That's so
oh,
funny.
I'm making a choice. I'm like my binge modem in my head says, oh, just have 3 cookies. It's gonna be fine. So
What's
it
one?
takes
What's
more than
three?
that. And say what?
Oh, sorry, there might be a lag. I was like, what's one cookie? What's 3 cookies?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, and it's just so easy. It's like, oh, you can just go on. But anyways, so just get back on, refocus, keep moving, because life goes on. So yeah, I want to encourage you to that. So let's get into the next page. All right, digital life. So first of all, we started out with life goals and non-wealth checklists before, because I think once you have your goals set, I think it's easier, and kind of your life organized. I think it's much easier to then tackle the other things. Digital life though, that can be a really tall order. Would you agree?
Oh yeah. Well,
So
what made you decide to include an entire section on digital life?
because that's what I'm going through right now. And
This
it
is a
is a
very personal planner.
well, you know what? I am so ordinary that if I have that issue, I know others have that too. So
Hmm.
I mean, I have half of my life, because I am a real estate agent, half of my life is digital, maybe even more, from email, just email, phones, texts. Those are business things. And then of course there's social media, and to um, stay disciplined with that is, for me, really, really hard, because it's so easy to just get sucked into something. So really staying focused on either time or what am I doing? Am I editing a video? Something like that. So, and then it's really not good for your eyes. You end up sitting too much, and you should move. And I took a really close look at this, and this is my checklist that I came up with. And again, I think I'm pretty ordinary. So if I have this, then others have it too. Plus, I mean, how many clients have told me before that they have 20,000 emails, and they, especially, I mean, home buyers that say, oh, can you text me when you send me something, because I get so many
Hmm.
emails, I can't find your emails. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So it kind of hurts me too. I am a zero inbox person, because when it comes to my business, that's what I have to do. I cannot afford to miss emails. So I try to sort everything in my inbox. But I mean, I have a spam email, and I have no problem just hitting delete. And when I get to that point, I will do that and delete all 33,000 emails. It's okay.
Goodness.
Yeah, I think people are hesitant to do that because they have important emails potentially
Hmm.
mixed in with it. Um, so that makes it hard. Sorting the emails right away as they come in is a good idea, or having, and I think I have it, yeah. There is an unsubscribe app. So delete emails or unsubscribe. There's an unsubscribe app that you can use that will unenroll. It's what, the unenroll app. So you
Interesting.
basically,
I didn't even know that that existed.
yeah, you connect your phone with your email address, and then, or with your email client, and then once they're connected, the app picks out all the subscriptions, and then you just go boop, boop,
Oh.
boop, unsubscribe. The problem is you still have your old emails
Hmm.
in there. So the unsubscribe is done, but you still have to go through and delete. The best thing for that is, I mean, I don't know how it is with Outlook, but Google allows you to have a inbox folder, at just tab, inbox tab, a promotion tab, and a social media tab. And if you start from the beginning, and I mean, and Google knows where to put what most of the time. But if you're pretty disciplined with that from now on, things are going to get much easier. And then personally, I just take 15 minutes, 20 minutes if I want to work on getting through my email list, through my emails and just deleting. I'll just go boop, 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 delete, delete, delete,
I'll also, if I'm deciding that I'm unsubscribing from someone, say elephant company, so I'll get the email address from all of their
Mhm.
emails, put
Yeah.
that into the search bar, and delete all 700 emails.
Oh my God. And it's so satisfying, especially once
Oh yeah.
first
When you
when you
see the inbox number going down.
that, and when you see, oh, you just removed 700 emails. I'm like, yes,
Oh yeah.
only
Total accomplishment.
32,300 to go. It gets even better once, and if you've done that, let's say 15 minutes, and then you go to trash and then empty your trash, and it says you have deleted 5,000 emails, you're making some headway there. You can watch videos, movies while you do that, so that's what I usually do. But I have time limits. I spend 15 minutes on that. I spend half an hour usually on sorting my photos. I have my photos automatically taken from my phone into Dropbox and then sorted by date. Dropbox allows you to do that automatically. I know Google Picasa allows that as well, and I'm pretty sure Mac has the same function, but they're just gigabytes and gigabytes of photos and videos now. So I started sorting and adding to folders and deleting, and that is, hour at a time. Like I said, maybe I do watch a video, watch a movie or something.
It's
While I
also nice to do this ahead of the time that your phone says no more space.
Oh gosh, yes.
And you're like rushing to see what you can delete or move or whatever else.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you have those transferred automatically, you can just go ahead and just delete, because everything is saved. I think we're afraid of saving stuff. But anyways, we're getting into the details. I'm so sorry, into the weeds. Digital wellness, whatever you want, or whatever you feel works for you. If you're perfectly fine right now, the way you do things, good. If not, maybe you want to set yourself a timer just to kind of remind you, and there are apps for that as well, that remind you you've been this long on YouTube, get off.
I don't want to know those things.
Yeah, I mean, there's even, oh, hold on. For some reason, my battery's on. Cut. So yeah, there are definitely ways to limit your time, have better control of it. Nothing worse than to look up after an hour you've been on Instagram and be surprised that it's been an hour and it just felt 10 minutes. Last but not least, the hold on, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so there is One App Thursday. So if you've ever wondered, right now, not one app, one tab Thursday. So right now I have probably 20 tabs open. Try to just have the one tab open, or two maybe, that you're working on. It's actually not easy. So there is One Tab Thursday, if you want to take that challenge.
Do as we say, not as we do.
Yeah, right. And then we're getting into the nitty-gritty, reset passwords on your financial accounts, insurance accounts, and so on. Do this on a regular basis, maybe set up reminders to change those passwords. And there are password keeper apps. One of them is LastPass, but I think they actually had a hack, which is kind kind of scary. But it also reminds me, and I'm not sure if I have that in the next page, but freeze your social security number, please. Go to all of the reporting sites and freeze your social security number. That way, when something happens, nobody can do anything without, having access, to that. So always back up your data, your computer. Don't forget that. I think Carbon is one of the backups. I heard somebody else actually suggesting to use a separate computer for only your financing activities,
interesting.
accounts. Haven't gotten to that point yet, but it's actually a good idea. So, all right. That was a lot about digital life. Let's move on to the next one.
This is a
Money.
good one.
Yes, money, money, money. So assess your financial situation. I know money is can come with a lot of baggage. I grew up in a certain way that makes me shiver when I go below a certain amount of money. I start panicking. So everybody has their little anxieties, I think, about money, or they don't, which is also not great. Do you have any hangups like that? I mean, I know I'm driven, and the money level certainly always has an effect on me.
I, without saying too much, um, I grew up in a family that didn't think about their financial thresholds. And so I have a preschooler, and so I'm trying to just figure out what that means for us as a family.
Yeah.
I definitely get nervous if the bank account starts getting too close to a certain number. Um, but I think even the fact that I'm thinking about it is a big step from where I came from.
Absolutely. Yeah. I get into panic mode. I get into real panic mode. And so I have to have my security blanket, my security buffer,
Mhm.
basically. So, and the, yeah. So I jump into action in quite the panic. So something I work on as well. But yeah, we all have that one way or another. Sometimes for good and sometimes for not so good, right? So I think it's important to really know where you are. Collect all your financial documents, put them all in one place, one folder, online, secure, ideally.
If someone
You
is
know,
asking what falls under that bucket of financial documents, what are the
well,
most important?
financial documents. So I don't have mine online. And I guess that goes, well, actually I do. Financial documents is um, mortgage statements. Everything is digital with me. So all the mortgage statements are scanned. All account statements are scanned. The insurance policies, they all go in there. And then I have folders. For some people that might be a little overboard, but that's just my way of doing it. I started recently actually to really look at how we're spending money. So I went through 12 months of spending,
Wow.
which, yeah, that was a lot. And I found out, so talking about expensive food prices, we spend a lot of money on food. I mean, 10,000 a year on food.
Mhm.
That is crazy, crazy,
I'm in a
crazy.
lot of like budgeting Facebook groups, and people easily spend over $1,000 a month on just groceries.
Yeah. Yeah. It's shocking. I didn't think it was going to be that much. But yeah. So anyways, so there you have it. I'm not, not shy about it, but that was a shock. But those are the things. It also helps you to look at yeah, how many streaming services do we have? And yeah, we took several of them
Always a
off
sad
because
reality.
it is, and then let's say, oh, it's only $8 a month. Well, that's $100 a year, right? And then you have 3 of them that you are really not that crazy about. So you just earned $500
Mhm.
by taking them off. So, I mean, it you know, it adds up. So knowing all of your expenses, knowing all, list all your income, that will help you also assess in terms of, can you afford a house or not? Or what else can you do with your money? And then just, yeah, and make sure that you have all of your expected expenses written down. And basically, and then from there, you can create a budget for, the next 12 months or the next 5 months, whatever. And like Dave Ramsey says, give every dollar a name. I think that's actually good advice. I don't
Mhm.
agree with everything he says, but that is pretty
Disclaimer.
good. Yeah, that's pretty sound advice,
Mhm.
I think. And then you can enter whatever you come up with into an app. There's an app for everything. Into a spreadsheet if you prefer that, or you can still handwrite everything. There's nothing wrong with that.
Something I've
So
seen people on extreme budgets doing is writing out all of their monthly expenses on a piece of paper, and a lot of them will actually share it with strangers and ask, give me honest feedback on my monthly expenses and budgeting. And I think that's a good way to like confront like what you're spending money on and how important it is compared to what your goals are.
yeah. And that's one of those decisions when you said earlier, when we talked earlier about cookies, do you really need to buy this crumble cookie for $5?
Mhm.
Do you really need that? Those are decisions that we all make. Or do I really need these 5, 6 streaming services? But generally you don't know until you see it in front of you. And I think that goes under lifestyle creep too. Um, I mean, I'm certainly guilty of that at times.
Have
Uh,
you ever heard this? When you're thinking about where your money is going, it's only $27 and something cents a day. That is $10,000 a year.
oh yeah,
And for some people, that's just lunch, you
yeah.
know?
Oh my gosh, yes. And it's funny because so my mom is actually still a Second World War child. She had me pretty late. So she was still born right at the beginning of the Second World War. And I grew up in Germany. So while I was born in the 60s, which is far removed from 1945 when the Second World War ended, that attitude that she grew up with, that post-war attitude, was still with her. So there were a lot of things that just didn't happen because that was just not a thing. So that's why sometimes I'm a little different too with certain expenses, what I can and cannot let go. Sorry, going off on a tangent
We
here.
all we all have those things, and it's
Yeah,
fine.
absolutely. What I think is a good idea actually is to really cancel your credit card. If you don't want to
Mm,
do everything above, cancel your credit card. And then by the time you get a new credit card, unless things are just deducted directly from your account, you have to basically re-enter your new credit card for services. And then you find out, wait a minute, and let's just stick with the TV services, the streaming services, because it's so easy to fall into that hole. Then all of a sudden you realize how much you're actually spending on that. And then you can easily say, nope, I'm not renewing that. And you're done.
mhm.
So yeah. Anyways, if you have debt, also a Dave Ramsey suggestion is to pay it off smallest to largest, just to get a little bit more of that dopamine kick of having paid off something, and then to be able to move on to the next pile. I think that's a good idea. You feel like you're making progress. Um,
I think
um,
part of that too, right? Because that's the snowball method, is
yeah,
that if your minimum is $10 on that lowest credit card, that $10 a month you were putting can now go into the next credit card.
yes. Exactly. And I think that's a great idea. But that's after you're creating an emergency fund. And I have that in here as well. Again, it doesn't apply to everyone. Maybe you have your emergency fund in place. Good for you, especially when if you are a Gen Z, a Gen Z generation. That's kind of redundant. But if especially when you're young, the compounding interest has such a huge effect that I think there was one of the things, if you if you put $5,000 into an account at the birth of a child, then when that child turns 60, it turned into a ridiculous amount of money. I think it's like $1 million or something.
I think it's well over $1 million. Yeah.
Or over $1 million even. Yeah, I didn't want to, overstate it, but that is crazy. I mean, so when I have clients that, are really eager to buy a house, I think there's a bigger picture we have to take a look at. Maybe there are other ways for them to be ready next year, with just a different path and a little bit more financial preparedness. And I think that's really important. You invest in yourself first and then you move on. So the emergency fund is important. That's something that you can spend when you need new tires for $400, if they're that cheap. Or you have
Yeah, where are you getting
something.
tires for $400?
Oh, I
Just
know.
kidding.
Oh gosh, let me live in the past. Let me live in the past, right? Yeah, I try not to look when we have bills like that. But yeah, so, last few things, really important. Check your free credit report online. Do not pay for it. I think the website, I think we have it linked on our planner. It's, I think, annual credit report. So don't go to free credit report. I think it's annualcreditreport.com where you can get it. Make sure you get your credit report from all three credit reporting companies. I would say do it this way, since you only get it once a year. Every 4 months, you go to one credit reporting company and get your credit report. 4 months later, you go to the next one, and 4 months later, you go to the last one. So that way you get a credit report for free for 3 times a year. So that's a good idea. Oh, and then Find Money, missingmoney.com. I was reminded the other day that, that is a legit website, missingmoney.com. That is, I think, nationwide. They're Colorado also, and it's linked on our list here. Colorado has one just for Colorado, and it's legit. I got $64 back the other day, and then I got a tank.
Wow.
Got a tank of gas, and that was gone. So, or I bought a bag of groceries.
That's so funny. I just looked mine up. There's some money that that I'm missing.
Oh, well, there you go.
And this was from over 10 years ago.
It's all right.
Thanks.
Bring it.
That tip.
Bring it
Good
on.
tip. Also, that $1 million thing, going to correct myself, I meant if you are investing that kind of money monthly or annually, then it will be a huge amount by 60.
Yes. So I did read that it was $5,000 one time, and that was still a huge amount. I mean, if you get $100,000 and not ever having to work for the $100,000 because of compound interest, that's all right.
Yeah, I'm not turning that down.
It just takes discipline not to touch the $5,000 or
Yeah.
whatever it was at that point,
Right.
So, all right, let's move
Okay.
on.
Assets.
Assets. All right, add to your retirement. So we talked about emergency funds, paying off debt and how to best do that. And once you are moving forward with that, start looking at your retirement funds. I think those are really important to fund, because I wouldn't count of Social Security to be available when, any of us really retiring. So I think it's important for you. Maybe goes under self-care and not assets. Make sure you have money at the end of your life. But start adding to it, and it doesn't matter how little it is, just start something. So I think that's pretty important. And once you if you already have accounts, maybe that goes into your document file. Know where they are, what you have, and and I have a list here, life insurance, investment accounts, to make sure that you have a beneficiary listed in each of them, so that whatever you have doesn't have to go to court, to probate, should something, heaven forbid, should something happen to you. It's fairly easy to do. Just add in, most of them have it online, just add in a beneficiary. Have you done that in your accounts and life insurance, whatever you have?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think, don't they require you to add the beneficiary before you finalize the insurance itself?
In life insurance, maybe, but it's also important that depending where you are in your life, that you look at who you actually named. If 5 years ago you named a friend or somebody in the family that you're right now
Exes.
not talking to anymore, exes, oh my gosh, yes. It's
True.
time to make, to review that and change that. It's funny how 5 years can just creep up on you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty
A
cool.
lot can change in 5 years.
Yes, absolutely. Automate your investments. Also, sometimes these financial gurus say, pay yourself first. So invest directly so you don't even see the money coming in, whether that's $50 a month, or $10 or $20, doesn't matter. Just start and don't even take a look at it. I think that's the easiest way. If you don't see what you don't know, so I think that is actually a really great strategy. Automate your investment. And then if you have a side hustle, I think side hustles are pretty popular now, because affordability is in the bucket, and cost of living is in the bucket. So many people do look at side hustles. When you have one, make sure that you create an LLC. And for the life of me, do not commingle your assets. Don't commingle your LLC money with your private money. Just have a separate account. I'm pretty sure somewhere you can have a free account, and just have that dedicated to your side hustle money, no matter what you do. Just do that. It's huge. I also have in there, report your LLC to FinCEN. We have a link there. We were going back and forth towards the end of the year, whether you have to report it or you don't. I think where they are right now is that it's voluntary. So I think my guess is most people just won't report it. So that's up to you if you want to give up that information to the government. Then review your insurance coverage. Very, very timely with the fires in California. Make sure that you have the right beneficiaries. Again, if you have a trust or an LLC that you have your house in, you need to make sure that one of the beneficiaries, one of the insured, is actually your trust or your LLC. Otherwise, technically, the insurance can decline to pay. So we don't want you to get into that trouble. But yeah, review your limits. Maybe you have to up them, even if that does cost you a little bit more money. But so in Colorado, especially the western half of Colorado is in wildfire area. So, things can happen, whether it's a wildfire or a flood. things happen here too. I mean, we don't have hurricanes. So
Thank goodness.
yay, that's something, right? But yeah, and then protect your assets, and you can do that by actually, going back to your real estate, your estate planning plug from earlier. Usually, lawyers are willing to give you a free session of like usually between 30 and 60 minutes. They will sit down with you and discuss with you for free what you should do. And then you can make a decision, is this something that you want to do? There is a lot that goes to it, not just when you have assets, but also just to take care of your advanced, health directives. Almost forgot your advanced health directives, so that your loved ones know what your wishes are. Should you be incapacitated, or if a decision needs to be made. I think that's pretty important. And then a HIPAA release is, I think actually I misspelled it. I have a double P when it should be a double A, I think. A HIPAA release is really important, because unless these physicians, the hospitals have a HIPAA release in hand, no matter if you're named or not, there is a possibility they're not going to release any information to you. So let's not be in that place. And last but not least, having 20-something-year-old kids, it's important to think about that they give somebody else a medical power of attorney. So if they're incapacitated and they don't have a significant other yet, that there is somebody else that can actually make a decision, and they should also have an advanced health directive. So not fun stuff to talk about, but it's even worse when you get into that awful decision, and then you have to deal with more paperwork or roadblocks into helping your kid or your loved one get better or just make the right decision. So anyways, keep
Definitely
that
things
in
to think
mind.
about before
Yeah.
emergencies.
Yes. And that's why it's on the list here. Hopefully nothing that you need to get done tomorrow, but just think about, getting this done. And we had an estate planning event yesterday, and the lawyer said, look, I am not a fan of these online companies that provide you with boilerplate, forms. But he says, I must tell you that I'd rather have you do something than nothing, especially if it's maybe a matter of money. You cannot afford a lawyer. You don't want to afford a lawyer. Just have something, know that it does come with some caveats about that. So, all right. Always talk to your attorney, by the way, about these things.
Yes.
Just as like
Disclaimer.
a disclaimer, yes. Ooh, real estate.
Your favorite part.
Yes, let's just review, create a trust. That is, and when you do create a trust, don't use your personal name. So we get sometimes, oh, it's the so-and-so family trust. No, just use a street name or yellow dog or whatever works for you. And that helps you also keep some privacy, at least, for your trust. Review your trustees every few years. It's the same thing like with your life insurance beneficiaries. Maybe you have somebody in there that you don't talk anymore, or it's just good to review every once in a while. And don't forget to fund your your trust with the deed. So if you have a trust, it needs to be funded. You need to actually put things in your trust in order for that trust to work. So your home has to be titled in the name of the trust, and that means the trust has been funded. Again, talk to your attorney. I can help you with certain things. Let's say you need to know exactly how how to do it. I can give you some pointers. I can tell you where to go, or maybe you need to pull what's called an O&E, Owners and Encumbrance Report, which I recommend anyways to do maybe a year after you purchased a house, because I've had it twice in 1 year, a couple years ago, where we had a home buyer and the previous mortgage from the previous owner wasn't released. So technically they would owe 2 mortgages. We got it all figured out, but in one of those 2 cases, it was extremely difficult. So my suggestion is get an O&E. I can help you with that. Get an O&E. You can also see if there are any other liens on the house that might have popped up that you're not aware of, or maybe liens weren't released like it was in my case, where we found out a year after we closed on the house when we wanted to refinance that the title company that we closed with did not release the $1.4 million liens that were on the property. So now technically they were our liens. So it took a little bit of attorney money and some stress to get all that done. You have questions, call me. I can help you with that. Okay. That was an update the address at your assessor's office. Why would you do that? Once or twice a year, depending which year we're in, you will receive a notification about the assessed value of your property, and that's how you're going to be taxed. When we have a new assessment, a value assessment, which happens every odd year, so every 2 years, basically. Last one was in 2023. This year, we're going to have a new assessment. 2023 was rough because the home values had increased so much that there were a lot of people shocked by how much the house was worth, especially if there was not an appropriate comp used by the assessor, a comparable home sale used by the assessor that would jack up your assessment and then the taxes that you had to pay. So that was not a good surprise. Keep an eye out in May. That's when you should receive those new notifications, and then you have 30 days to appeal, and you can appeal it online. And I am planning to do another video on that to show you how to do it. I learned a ton of lessons, I learned a lot the last time in 2023. Again, I don't think it's going to be that bad this year, but it's always good to keep an eye on it. That's why you should change your address, especially if you are an out-of-town owner, so you get these notifications. Okay. Let me see. Okay, so I just mentioned that next point. Oh, HOA insurance. So if you own a condo or a townhome, you should really review. You should review your insurance coverage every year of the home that you own or the homes that you own, but especially when you have a condo, or well, in general, a house in an HOA, but condo and townhomes in particular, they should give you a new policy every year, and please take this policy to your insurance professional, have them review it, and ask them if you're still completely covered. Because depending on what they've changed, you might not be. And what we don't want is for you to kind of be caught with, well, your pants down when it comes to assessments. They can be pretty expensive. We've had assessments up to $50,000, and that can bankrupt a person when that happens. So reach out to your homeowner's insurance agent and discuss that with them. So again, insurance name needs to be changed to the trust. Update your rental leases. Every year we have new legislation, usually comes out around May. You might have some changes coming in earlier, but if you do have rentals, you definitely need to update your leases when they renew, for sure, and add all the new requirements. And there is, of course, a ton of resources on YouTube. I think it's Grace Property Management up in Denver. They have some really good videos about that if you want to get some education, especially if you're managing it yourself and you don't have a property management company, the property manager has to be up to date on those changes. So that responsibility has been passed on, and that's what you're paying for, right? A little bit peace of mind. And again, back to insurance, I mentioned that, review your coverage. So, and there's your checklist right there, what to ask and what to make sure you have. All right.
So long. So next we have the homeowner important dates, and then we have all of the seasonal home maintenance checklists. So maybe we can go through those kind of at a high level. And
Yeah.
of course, if anyone wants to ask more detailed questions, they can reach us literally anywhere.
Yes, absolutely. So we just talked about the property statements, especially in regards to why you should change your address. In 2023, we had a lot of out-of-town homeowners caught by surprise, because they just didn't receive their statements because they hadn't changed their addresses. But tax statements are being mailed out. Actually, that's happening right now. And the property taxes are due the first half, end of February, if you choose to pay it in halves. If you have a mortgage insurance, there is a high likelihood that the mortgage company is doing that for you. So don't pay if you have a mortgage and they paid for you. If you're not sure, call your mortgage professional and they take a look at it, or your mortgage company, of course. If you want to pay everything just in one lump sum, you can do that by the end of April. If you are choosing two halves, then one is due in February, the other one is due in June. All right. So property tax deferral applications are due. That is something that probably isn't used very often. It's actually, I don't think, very well known. You can actually defer your property taxes. However, they do charge you tax for that, and not tax interest for that. So I'm not sure how beneficial that is. Oh yeah, taxes, of course, due in April the 15th. We all know that for personal taxes. Properties reassessed this year in May. And this is also the time when you might want to review any kind of bills that are coming down the pipeline when the legislative session ends. Actually, I love doing this, just kind of checking things out and just being ahead of this, just to kind of know what's changing. Property tax appeals are due. So the property assessments were mailed out in May. You have 30 days, as I mentioned previously. So you just have to get your appeals through, and I have already a video on it, but again, I've learned a little bit more. So I will show you exactly how to do it. You can do the first appeal easily online, and the second, then you probably have to show up in front of the assessor and argue your case, like we did with many of our, clients this past time when we helped them out. July, is it July 1st when the senior homestead exemptions applications are due, right? It's July 1st. Oh yeah, by July 1st, you have it in there. Sorry. Yes, so if you're not sure whether you qualify or not, if you are 65 and have lived in your home for at least 10 years, then you would qualify for homestead exemption. But because we pay taxes in arrears, you have to have turned 65 in 2024. Okay, and then you have basically the first 6 months of 2025 to apply for this homestead exemption for 2025 payable in 2026. A bit confusing, but we can help you out if you have questions. And the same, if you have 100% VA disability, you can do the same. And I think the deadline might actually be 15th for that, 15th of July. If you miss that, they will not take any other applications until the next July 1st. And you can beg and plead as much as you want. It's not going to happen. So, All right, delayed tax returns due October 15th, and tax liens sold on auctions. If you don't pay your taxes, your property taxes, they will be very swift with selling your property out from under you. So it's important to keep an eye out on that. Okay. And then local and state elections due in November. So this is the year in real estate, basically. As an
And
overview.
if you're not already subscribed to our blog newsletter, we do send out all of these updates, deadlines that are coming up, when bills are passed. We send out, things that you'll need to know, and whether or not these things apply to you. So if you're not subscribed, come subscribe.
Right? Yep. Very good. Oh, okay. So we don't have to go through the home maintenance. This is just your checklist. It's a quick reminder. Oh, the one thing I wanted to mention about smoke, smoke detectors, but actually for new batteries and thermostats, don't be caught. Do that. It sounds very trivial, but replace those batteries at least once a year if the thermostat is not hardwired, because if those batteries are dead, and I speak from experience, your furnace will not kick on. And in the wintertime, fortunately, we didn't have any damage, but in the wintertime, if your furnace, if you go, let's say over Christmas, because it always happens when you're out of town, right? Your furnace dies or doesn't kick on because the thermostat battery is dead, then you can have some significant damage from bursting pipes, water pipes. So that's important to do. Clean out the dryer vent, that's just, to kind of keep you safe from fire and so on. And yeah, plan your vegetable garden. That's important.
Very
I like
important.
that. Right.
So,
Yep.
so we have one of these for each season.
Mhm.
We also have full blog posts for each season's home maintenance, recommendations. So feel free to check those out as well.
Yep. And just for your personal reflection, each month has this review page as well that we provide. And that hopefully helps you as well to just stay focused, stay on track. And just remember, I mean, when you fall off, just get back on. It all happens. It happens to all of us.
Amazing. Any last comments?
No, I think that's it on my end.
Lots of good gold nuggets in here.
Yeah.
Again, if anyone has any questions, you can reach us at Susanna at co.regroup.com. We're also on your COS house on Instagram and Facebook.
And we will post the link to the download below, and and any other information that how to contact us and so on. We'll just post that all below. Let me see if I can pull it together. I read a really interesting quote yesterday, and driftwood is proof that even if you have to go through some can come out even prettier at the end. How about that?
Susanna's just full of fun quotes.
Yes, I love these. Actually, so full disclosure.